All right, we had to switch streams real quick because computers are fucky. But here's the chat. Here's the link for anyone. And let me pull that up. Lorraine, you're not saying anything. All right, so if we have anyone left from me ending the other two streams, then we can do something. Lorraine, if there's some settings that you can mess around with at the bottom there, you probably just need to hook up your mic. But in the meantime, I'm going to go delete that other stream. Edit video, delete video. Can I do that? Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, I thought you did really good. I have to ask you though, are you is your venom neurotoxic or are you a constrictor? Because you rendered him speechless at a couple times. It was really funny.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've evolved both traits, so we'll go with that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So what's do you remember which part in particular was your favorite or
a couple of times. Well, oh shoot. Hold on. Let me think about it. Hold on.
praise only for me?
Well, I mean, first of all, we tried to get into the comparative anatomy, and he's like, "Well, I don't even look at comparisons." I thought that was really funny.
And he knows he can't get into it because of where I'm going with it.
Oh, I know. And oh gosh, what's the other one? I'd have to go back and see.
I was quite pleased to see he still didn't read any of the literature he said he would.
No,
especially
no.
concerning the multicellular.
What was the one he said he read? What was that? That was from a creationist site, right?
Well, with the multicellular algae?
Yeah.
I think it was just a nature.com article.
It's a little article.
Which is just press about science.
What was your first argument?
It was just about comparative anatomy, just how creationists use it and how it's reasonable and there's no place where we should stop using it. There's no point. Because every time we compare two things that are similar and close in the fossil record, they're similar enough to keep using comparative anatomy, but Kent wants to compare sharks and octopuses.
Well, that was it. His argument, like, well, cows are cows, but what about an auroch? Isn't that, that's not a cow or a wolf. That's not a dog. But he continues to.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good spiel to have because it's true. Dogs produce dogs, but science can get complex. It's hard to say why. Oh, there's more to the story than that.
And then what was the? So we got into. Sorry, I got mad because I got blocked on Donnie's channel. So.
Really?
So there was the first part where we're talking about the comparative anatomy. And what was the second part?
Well, it went into comparative anatomy and then multicellular evolution and kind of like geological column. We teased a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And then ERV at the
ERV.
end. I was mad because I had I was gonna say something about like black holes compressing things, but yeah. Too many points. You know, he
there
brings
was
up
a
so
lot.
much.
There was a lot covered. But there was a couple that I thought was really interesting. One, Ken admitted, or Ken, whatever his name is, admitted that his Bible, his religion is just that. It's a religion. It is not science-based. He admitted that.
Yeah.
And you got him to admit that. And there was a second one I saw. I was like, oh my gosh. I don't remember. Couple big ones. So.
Yeah, it was fun. I definitely took the gloves off this time. I'm like, I just don't care at this point.
Oh, and that was when you called him a liar. You called him out. You're like, you're a liar.
I gave him the grace 9 times, so I feel like, yeah. Donnie said it was 10. This was the 10th debate. I didn't know it was that many.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Wait, I got a question though. When you go, because you know he is just. I mean, he's got a 30-year-old argument that hasn't changed. When you go in there, you're not talking to Kent, obviously, right?
What do you mean?
You're not trying to convince him or anything because you know he's not going to change.
Oh, of course not. Yeah. What I'm trying to do with Kent basically is to basically get him to say something stupid or not have anything to say, but it is more about talking to the audience.
Well, then that's the second point. That's the second point. So the first one was when you got him to sort of admit, yeah, this is just this is a religion. This isn't science. And the second one, you literally rendered him speechless with the compare. He had no rebuttal for it.
Yeah, there was a point where I think that was like when he started. He was just there's just a huge pregnant pause.
Yes.
Because he has to decide, like, you know, which trot out argument is he going to take?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It appears we lost most of the people. Like,
I know.
Reid wanted to come in, but that's okay. Do you come on to these a lot?
I try to. I try to catch whatever I can.
Like, do you come like talk to people?
No. This is actually the first time. I'm always a little chicken. I have really thin skin. I don't like
because
like they were. I mean, I feel so. They were throwing all kinds of ad hominems at you and stuff, just attacking who you are. I can't do that. I can't handle that. I can't.
Yeah.
I have really thin skin.
Yeah, I mean, I decided to stream my own version, so that I could have my own chat.
Yeah. No, this is the first one. I'm usually pretty chicken, so.
Yeah, because you're a regular in the chats and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm usually I have thin skin.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm not brave like you.
That's one of their main tactics is just to get into your skin.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm seeing some of the bullshit they're putting, and I'm like, oh my god, if they said that to me, even despite it has nothing to do with what you're actually talking about, but.
Yep, that's how it usually is. Yeah, I tried to do this time. I tried to make it simple as possible, like basically.
Well, that's the
one point. so that we could focus on just because I've done this all with him before. So what's the point in
He
doing it
said 10
again?
times. Holy moly.
Yeah. But I just wanted to focus on the process of science. What is it? And does evolution apply? And they just won't engage when they know you've got them.
No.
So they just say something else.
I was so upset. I think I got blocked. I don't know. I was like, oh, Snake is obviously has neurotoxic venom because he's rendered his prey speechless.
Yeah, well, they have some pretty heavy-handed mods over there. Especially there's one of them who always tries to destroy me, and well, he'll ban me like pretty much on site.
Oh, you get banned. Oh, okay.
Well, not banned, but
blocked or timed out
blocked,
or
like
whatever.
temporarily blocked. Yep. I had to get Donnie's usually pretty good about that. He unblocked me because Redefined Living really likes to block me.
Oh.
Yeah. Bree's here finally.
Hi, Bree.
She said the first link didn't work. And buzz. Yeah. Well, get your butt in here. Get your pneumothorax in here. We got two bugs, Bree and Lorraine Drosophila.
Mine was Bree has a much better understanding of entomology, though.
Yeah. What was I feel like I had a debate the other day where someone was trying to talk about etymology and they said it was entomology. They were like talking down to me like I knew nothing. It's like you don't even know what entomology is.
Did you explain? Did you get around to explaining it, or?
Yeah, I think I remember. I think it was like a text like in the comments. So it's nothing too important. Those people will disappear pretty quickly. But yeah. Where did Bree go?
He disappeared on us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, I brought in genetics at the end. I thought, I've done it before with Kent, but I've picked up a couple new arguments for why, why they absolutely are viruses. So I wanted to try that, and I thought that worked out pretty well.
Have you, out of curiosity, just because I wish I knew more about ERVs, have you talked to Donnie about the ER? I know he writes all those papers and.
Yeah, he's writing a book or wrote a book
Yeah,
on
or wrote a book.
ERVs. Yeah, I had a debate with him not too long ago.
You did? Oh,
about that.
I have to look it up.
Or was that? Oh, wait a second. They all blur together to me.
I bet.
What was the recent one I did on ERVs? Oh no, that was genetic entropy. But I did do one with him like over the summer or something. I'll link the genetic entropy debate.
Oh, great.
And
what was your conclusion about his argument with the ERVs? Because basically what I see is just a bunch of incredulity.
Kent or
with Donnie.
So
I don't even think Ken knows what ERV stands for, but
yeah, he helps Ken out with that one.
Yeah.
So his basic conclusion is kind of that they're created because they have function, and that they're not viruses because Other transposable elements look similar, so you can't tell the difference, except you can.
Except you can't.
It's Donnie is more sophisticated in like the words he uses, but it's basically the same thing as Kent said tonight.
Yeah. Did you see the one Donnie did with Dan Crenshaw? I thought that was a really good.
Mm-mm.
I thought that was a really good one. They weren't talking about ERVs. Oh gosh, I can't remember what they were talking about. But you could tell he knows the words, but he doesn't know the mechanism.
Yeah, it's pretty surface level understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I put in a studio link, not an actual link. Yeah, so I'm going to link the retrovirus debate and the genetic entropy debate. I feel like the more recent genetic entropy one was better.
No,
But I usually don't rewatch. Oh, Bree's here.
Hi, Bree.
Yeah, I've been down there for a minute.
Your waving got my attention.
Oh, yeah. I like your hair. Is it purple?
It's pink.
Oh, it's cute.
It's pink. Thank you. So ERVs with Kent Hovind. Are you kidding? That's way over his head.
SFT's here.
Donnie, why did I get blocked?
Lorraine's got a bone to pick with you, Donnie.
It's, to be fair, it's his
I was going to give you $2 for half a Horton.
Half a Horton. Well, Kent will give you $100 if you can compress water into a black hole.
That's an advanced dinosaur research laboratory with gift shop and RV hookups.
Indeed. Gargoyle. How come there are no animals or other planets and no evolution? Well, you got me there, Gargoyle.
I'm not sure about that. Yeah. Probably the atmosphere issue, I'd say, is a big problem. You need certain gases in order for life to form. Even the gases we have now are not the type of gases that you need for those startup organisms.
You gotta be at the right distance from the right kind of star. You gotta have an atmosphere. You gotta have a molten core with a magnetic field. And
water,
a few other stuff. Water.
Yeah.
Yep.
There needs to be, carbon's a big one for to build anything with. You have to have the access to the carbon. So there's no shortage of it in the universe, but we are on a surplus of it here on Earth.
Nice. Yeah, and there's some evolution, or there's some evidence that there might be life on Venus, I think. Because like there's some gases that are only known to be emitted from biological sources.
Gases.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but there's other things that could come into play.
Venus is a fascinating planet too. You know, to think that I think we've only had one probe on it, right? The Russian probe.
Not sure.
It's pretty volatile. It's hard to get anything through the atmosphere.
With the pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's pretty corrosive too to most materials. You can't have any exposed metals.
But
sulfuric acid.
But sulfuric acid again is a primary molecule for abiogenesis.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everything in moderation, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And Chen is here. I'm starstruck.
Calling out the Canadian Homelander.
Mm-hmm.
SFT's in the chat, by the way, too, and he is agreeing for our second ERV podcast or debate.
He said you're unblocked too, Lorraine. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
No, I'm believing. I'm done. You don't even get a half a Horton now.
She wants retribution too. We
I
spoke
have
for her.
really good things. I was asking Snake if he was a neurotoxic venom or if he was a constrictor. Man, I had things. So
We want blood for
annoyed.
blood.
Yeah. Do you want to let Lorraine block Donnie for just a minute, and then they'll be even?
Yeah.
She's
I don't
modded
know.
out there, isn't she?
I
You're
need to
modded,
see
aren't you,
if.
sweetie?
Let me see if either of you are moderators. I always forget to mod
I'm a
people.
mod.
You are? Okay.
I am, yeah. Me and
That's
Big
good.
Bad Mama out there are mods, but she never blocked, or he said he's never blocked you. He's blaming it on. Oh, you blame it on Sam? I bet it was Sam. Was Sam in there?
No,
Sam.
no, I had
Yep.
some good things. I went back. Donnie, you would have gotten like 50 super chats from me
She-
because I kept trying to send. No,
So
She was
Sam
trying to
owes
send
you,
get a half
super
a
chat.
Horton. We're done.
Sam
Your
owes you at least
mods-
$50 now.
Your mods were costing you money. I'd go back to
Yeah.
your logs and see who that was, because she's trying to send you money. Ian Chen will send you money too. Ian Chen's always wanting to send money, so that's why Ian Chen never gets blocked.
Funniest debate was Ian Chen. Funniest debate I've ever heard.
I think Ian's got a new one coming up, doesn't he? When's your next debate, Ian? I'm waiting for it. I'm here for it. Someone blocked me from my favorite channel.
Rock Hard Kent.
Yeah. There's supposed to be something special about this debate. Ian wouldn't tell me what it was, but it was something we're probably not going to want to miss. So yeah, we'll be there for that.
Hey, Donnie, as long as you're here, though, I have a question. With the ERVs, how do you separate it from an actual viral insertion?
Or how do you know it's not? Is that the
or
question?
not, sorry.
We'll wait for his. You can come on in. We can keep it cash.
No biting.
Yeah. Is it really our 10th debate? I knew we were at least at 6.
You and Donnie?
Kent.
Oh, you and Kent.
Sure, me and Donnie have crossed paths more.
How many times have you and Donnie had a formal debate? Just you and him.
I mean, a lot kind of a few years ago.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever debated some of Donnie's friends.
Yeah.
But I was talks about coming on there. I don't know, at some point, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
His wife's heating up his dinner.
What are you having for dinner? That's an important question.
Yeah. It's the most important question.
What'd you guys have for dinner?
I might be having pork belly.
I actually have one of my taquitos left.
Ooh.
Taquitos.
Oh, no.
It's cold, though. I don't want to eat it right now. I'll probably put it in the fridge for later.
Those cheapo little taquitos are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
I didn't
like
get off work till late.
Tortillas kind or whatever?
Yeah. The Totinos, the same people that make the little tiny pizzas. I don't like their pizzas though. I like their taquitos though. Yeah, it's just been a busy day. I got off work late, and then I had I'm doing working on part 3 of the Arachnomorpha series for RN, and we're like on a really tight schedule all of a sudden. So we had to do a big meeting about that. It was pretty in depth, so it's going to be a good episode, I hope.
Nice.
And then I got bored and came here.
Yay.
Nice. Well, bombastic BumbleBre. What did you think of the debate?
Well, I just caught the tail end because I was in that meeting, but yeah, it's same old Ken Hovind. I mean, he's dependable. If there's any positive attribution I would give to Ken Hovind, it'd be like you can depend on him. He seems like a dependable person.
No change, absolutely no change for the last 30, 40 years.
Steady as the driven rain. I think he has dropped some stuff from his repertoire though, because remember he used to say things like that chameleons were like little triceratopses and things like that. You don't hear him say those claims anymore.
He used to say chameleons were triceratops?
Yeah. That since things lived a long time before the flood. Yeah, I'll bring on that debate. Let's dredge that one up, Donnie. You want to have me talk to Kent? We'll talk about the Cameloceratops and why that's not something that can happen, and why the evolution and physiological changes that would need to take place for that would be. It's him!
Hey. Can you guys hear me?
Live from the future.
Yes, I am from the future. It's 3 o'clock, 3 p.m.
Dr. Donnie's BFF. That's a good name.
Yes, I'm hoping Donnie can see it. Hey guys,
Donnie
I didn't catch your debates, Snake. Sorry about that.
All right, get out of here.
I heard from a few people from the Facebook group, from Kent's Facebook group, that it was awesome and that you held him accountable. So that was good. The Australian Homelander.
That's right.
There's a Kent.
Oh, he constricted him. He rendered Kent speechless.
Really? Well, what was the topic about?
Facebook.
Hey, Bree.
Hi.
Bombastic. Yeah, so Bree, when are you gonna come down to Australia? You promised me, didn't you?
I
You have a
will.
place
I will
to
get
stay.
the.
We've got spiders. We've got they're all poisonous. So you're gonna love them.
Scorpions.
Scorpion. Yeah, we've got it all. Snakes.
Is it spider season?
They're man killers. Male killers. Man killers.
Cockatoos.
Cockatoos. Yeah. Well, we've got a cockatoo.
So
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You got little like patty melons and stuff like that.
You guys have cute animals and scary animals.
Yeah, we've got drop bears, kangaroos. Actually, I don't know if I told
Are
you.
you West Coast or
Who
East
doesn't want to
Coast?
hug
I
a
always
wallaby?
forget. I always forget. Are you West Coast or East Coast?
Who?
You.
Melbourne, East Coast.
East Coast. Okay. Yeah.
It's like 80% of Australia's on the East Coast.
Oh, my friend
Australia's
Mark's
always
West
from
Coast.
the future.
You don't want to do
Yeah.
that, big bad mama. Make sure you have vinegar in hand if you do that. You can get stung.
I want
Is it true?
to. I want to snuggle one of those blue ring octopuses. They look so cute and cuddly.
You don't
Yeah.
want to do that either. Oh, Bree, when you come down, just let me show you around, okay? Don't do anything without me telling you.
Oh,
Give
do
it some
you
good
think
skin to
do you think I need you to guide me about the poisonous
No,
creatures?
I think
So
I think you'll know
sweet.
more than me, but you might not be able to overcome the cuteness of the
That's
animals.
what's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna have a Steve Irwin death, and you all are just gonna have to come to terms with that. It's gonna be me trying to pet or touch or just trying to get a good footage of something that I maybe shouldn't have got that.
Bree,
close
Are you
to.
saying, Bree, that you want to come to Australia so you can be penetrated by a prick? Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. That's definitely on the adventure down there. That's part of the Australian experience, right?
Yeah. Oh, we do have a cockatoo here as well, Lorraine.
They're so cute and cockatiels.
Hey, just with all the double entendres, I just have to. I came on to kind of say one thing. I've got a round 2 debate with Ken Hovind, Rocky Ken as I kind of call him, April 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern. But I promised Donnie, I don't know if he's still on the chat. I promised Donnie that there is no dirty jokes. So I'm letting out all my dirty jokes now because I've got to kind of keep it PG rated.
Yeah, they'll block you for anything too dirty.
So, yes, you can blame Donnie, but I did promise him.
Donnie will say, "This is a Christian channel. We don't use that kind of language over." No, I've never heard Donnie say anything like that. But
wait, I have to know every Australian. What's the future like?
Well, if you want to know lottery number, I want 50% cut.
yeah, is it sunshiny right now though?
Oh, it's.
What's our future going to look like?
I don't know about freedom units, but it's 25 degrees at the moment. It was 33 degrees yesterday. So
Ooh.
I don't know what's that in freedom units. It's pretty warm.
Yeah, it's like 78 yesterday.
I
Yeah.
gotta say, my wife and my daughter is actually in Russia at the
Yeah.
moment. Just checking the temperature. It's minus 10 degrees where they are now. Yeah, minus
Ooh.
10. Yeah,
Yeah.
Vladivostok. No.
They're in Russia?
Yeah, my wife is Russian, so because of COVID and stuff, that she hasn't been back to see the folks for 3 or so years, and they haven't seen my daughter who's only 2 years old. So she went back with my daughter for 6 months. So they left
That's
about
so
3 weeks ago.
sweet.
I gotta
So
tell you, like,
sweet.
the day they left, I cleaned up the house. I put all the toys away, and the house is looking quite empty now without all the toys on the foot, and I kind of miss them. Like, I kind of miss the fact that
Mhm.
I'm not stepping on toys. So I am
Oh.
joining them. Like, I have the debate with Kent, Rocky Kent, April 5th and April 7th. I fly out, so for 4 weeks. So I
Oh,
am joining the debate.
you're
Do
flying
you
back to Russia
Well, not back. Like I
or
don't
two?
live there, but yeah, to Russia. Yeah, just to join them. See
have
the
you ever
folks.
been there before?
Yeah, I've been there. I kind of I met my wife over there and told her that she should come because she wanted to study. It was ages ago. I have to tell you the story. Um, she wanted to study English. I said, "Well, come to Melbourne and study, and we'll get to know each other." So that I kind of met her when she was a English student over here as well. But I got to tell you, Russians have the most beautiful women, except for your girlfriend,
Hmm.
of course. The most beautiful women, and they love people who speak English there. And Vladivostok, which is the very far east of Russia, it's like an hour flight from Tokyo, an hour flight from Seoul. It's like 3 hour drive to the closest Chinese city. So it's there's quite a lot of Asians that live in Vladivostok, so they're kind of familiar with the Asian nationality. But I tell you what, when you go to Russia, I went with my mom. Okay, so the story was my mom retired, and I said to my mom, "I'll take you on a kind of congratulation retirement kind of holiday. One condition: you cannot go to those Asian countries. So we're not going to Taiwan, we're not going to Malaysia, we're not going to Hong Kong. We have to go somewhere that's a little bit different." So we settled on Russia because at that time I had been to St. Petersburg, I'd been to Moscow. So we settled on Russia, but we decided to go to Vladivostok because it's the same time zone as Melbourne. So it was convenient for her to kind of call my dad back. But I was with my mother, and I'd be like, if I saw a nice looking girl, I'd go up to the girl and I'd say in English, translation, Google Translate if I needed to, can you recommend a really good restaurant? And they'd recommend. Don't worry about the cost, just a really good restaurant. They'd say this and this, and I'd say, okay, would you like to come with me? But on one condition: my mother comes along, and it does two things. One, it makes them feel
Aw.
safer. Makes them feel safer because
Yep.
you're this guy's with his mother, etc. And secondly, makes them feel like, oh, he's not a sleazebag. He's a family man.
He
Little did
takes
they know.
care of his
Little
mama.
little did they know it was just a ploy. But yeah, that's how I met my wife. Basically.
Mom is
What part of
Mom is
Russia?
the greatest wingman.
But
Yep.
yeah, I've got pictures. One day when I do a debate, I'll put the picture of my mother. She's like sitting there with the girls, kind of giving them the eye, like, "What the hell is going on?" It was very funny. Yeah.
What part of Russia was it?
What kind of Russia was it?
What part of Russia?
Oh, Vladivostok. It's a very very far east. It's like the land that's closest to Japan. It's like that side of Russia.
Oh
It's
wow.
like just to get there. There used to be flights from Melbourne that used to kind of go direct and be like a 3 hour stopover in Hong Kong, and the whole journey be 14 hours. But because of the sanctions, I had to fly to Abu Dhabi. Like instead of
Oh
going up
wow.
there, I'm gonna fly this way, then to Moscow, and then from Moscow to Vladivostok. So it's a 25-hour journey to
Wow.
Moscow, and then it's 8.5 hours within Russia from Moscow to Vladivostok. So that just gives you a sense of how big Russia is. It's 8.5 hours from one side of Russia to the other side of Russia. So they're literally opposite side of Russia, Moscow, and yeah.
You have to go through Abu Dhabi. That sounds like a joke because it's I don't know, like in the U.S. that's a euphemism for like middle of nowhere. Go through Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
Oh, I
But
think it's pretty like built up like it's like Dubai from what I understand. It's like a lot of tall buildings and that kind of stuff. But I've got a joke. I'll probably say this wrong, but I think it's what's the difference? No, geez. Why does Dubai prefer the Flintstones over Abu Dhabi? And I think the punchline is like, um, oh, because Dubai likes the Flintstones, but Abu Dhabi do. Oh, I don't know. I've stuffed it up. I can't remember the joke. It's got to do with Abu Dhabi with like Yabba Dabba Doo or something. Abu Dhabi. I'll remember it. I'll chuck in the chat.
yeah, I remember Garfield was always trying to ship the other cat to Abu Dhabi.
Oh, really?
Norman, poor Norman.
Yeah.
Hey, Simos.
Hello.
So
Oh,
What
Big Bad
up?
Mama. I just noticed the chat. Grampians Not Ways. They're great. Grampians are Not Ways, Big Bad Mama. It's really good. Have you been to Australia before?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi's a pretty rich place. You got to be pretty wealthy to be living there. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I hear Dubai is quite. I mean, I've
Oh,
only just
Dubai's
traversed.
the Western version. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've got the tallest building in the world or something, or close to it now, second or the tallest. And they've got like an indoor ski field or something. Like you can go skiing, but it's all indoor in the
Sure.
building. And
Like a mountain, like a ski slope.
yeah, it's like a whole skiing thing, but it's inside a building. So I mean, otherwise, where you can get snow, and they've got
Yeah.
like those islands, like the World Islands and the Leaf
Yeah.
Islands or whatever the palm stuff. So they've got a lot of money because of the oil.
Although
And,
they're failing, obviously.
you know,
It's like very extravagant when the rest of the world can't afford to come to your resorts and whatnot. But I guess they're not making their money off resorts, though, are they?
That was the idea when they built them, was to have a massive resort because they knew the oil money was going to run out. So they needed to try and replace some income. So they figured, I know, we'll build a massive, have the best resort in the world for the richest people. And that didn't work out either. They ended up, they've sold quite a bit of the Palm Island, but the other two projects are just bare now. I think they were really
Morocco's still
affected
doing good at that with that
by the
goal, though.
recession. By which goal?
Of trying to capitalize on tropical resorts. Morocco was doing that. It was they were open like 3 of them.
that's
It was
the
like
Titan. Yeah. Titan's got the joke. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that's what I was trying. I couldn't remember it, but Titan's got it. That's it.
Titan Uranus, where's your friend Titan Djibouti?
Titan Djibouti.
He follows him.
Anyway, so yeah, how did that go? Snake?
Good. Did you
loved
watch it?
Yeah, I saw some of it. I loved the killer resort that you made, which is, well, you think God made the world, and you didn't see that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I've been
That's it.
meaning to do that because in other debates, but like this one, I really just wanted to focus on like, what is the scientific method? Can we use it for things that we didn't directly observe? And he did not want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, of course not. Well, he doesn't want to touch science with a 10-foot pole. Otherwise,
Yep.
like you said, it all goes to, I think, well, you didn't see, you didn't see life come from non-life, did you?
Well, I think what Snake was mentioning was more like philosophy of science. Like what actually is the scientific method? How is it that we implement it? And in what ways does creationism meet these rigorous standards that can be demonstrated, corroborated, and that you can show me right now? And I would say that Kent doesn't really want to talk about the actual hard science. Like, you're definitely not wrong there. But I would say that where he doesn't want to touch the science with a 10-foot pole, he doesn't want to touch the philosophy of science with a 150-foot pole.
Yep.
It's okay with the Wells 15-foot pole though.
Who'd we lose? Oh, Lorraine. Bye, Lorraine.
Oh, Lorraine.
Creationists really struggle with when you start actually getting to the philosophy of science and asking more underlying questions about creationism, and then they just have nothing, absolutely nothing.
Well, weirdly, I've seen a non-kind. I mean, this debate. Sorry, let me get this straight. This debate showed a non-kind coming from a kind, because I could have sworn I saw several straw men come from humans.
Yeah. Are they
Maybe Mark can
related?
come on. I've never been on at the same time as Mark. You should come on, Mark.
Yeah, we get some
Actually, I want to
Australians
ask.
in here.
I want to ask Mark whether he comes on or it just in the chat. He can answer. It doesn't really matter to me. How frequently does Kent Hovind frequent Praise's channel? Because if he does, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in, and I'm just gonna. Oh, it's gonna be bad. I'm gonna bring up the argument from evil.
It's like a special thing to have. Like, he doesn't just come on out of the blue. Like, I've seen him on a few times, but it's been a special thing that Kent. It's like it's a special Kent thing.
Sorry, Snake. I just finished my stream. I would have sent people over as a raid if I'd known you were on. That's my apologies, mate. That's okay.
What were you?
Hey,
streaming?
I did.
Yes.
I did see you
Lorraine.
streaming. I did see the start of the debate, but I like the very start, but I had to stream, so I do apologize. I will watch it though. Absolutely.
I watched your debate with
I
him
don't-
for the prep.
Got a question for Mark here.
My debate with him. Which one?
I think
I think it
the
was
one you just jumped
a
on.
more recent one.
Oh,
not the
when
actual
I
debate,
dropped
the
in.
impromptu one. Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
That was
I
a good one.
really gave him a hard time on that one.
That was a really good one.
Oh, the one that AJ reviewed?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, Mark, you had me cracking up, man. I was like, yes. Yeah, every time you would say something and like you would, and I loved it. Mr. Hovind. I loved it. There's subtle little digs like that, which it's not really a dig because it's true. He's Mr.
It's
Hovind.
true.
But I love that you'd interrupt him and be like, nope, I'm sorry. That's just that's not how this works. You're kind of just deflecting away from the question I just asked you. I absolutely loved it. I was watching that like, oh fuck yes. I was getting a little chub.
Oh wow, that's what I live for, Leo. Your question is how often is Hovind in there? He's not usually in there. Like he it used to be very rare for him to be in here. I've seen him twice in there.
Twice, yeah.
You know, recently. I think it's because he's lost his YouTube channel and he's trying to piggyback to get that momentum back for the what's his new one, the Genesis Church one or something. So
He's got the Dr. Dino one too.
Yeah.
He's got
does
two
he?
of them right now.
He's
Dr.
got two.
Dino.
He's
He was
got two
actually
runs, yeah.
Kent,
he
the
was streaming on
science
Dr. Dino last night.
Okay. Well, I think he's trying to use it to gain momentum again, kind of thing. He's trying to use it to piggyback off of him. And of course, praise is all for it because, you know, he gets a lot of views off of Kent going in there.
And
Of course.
I'm sorry, I was away from my desk when Lorraine left. Bye.
Oh,
She's back.
She's
I'm
back.
sorry, we didn't.
Oh,
Didn't take
hey,
long.
Lorraine.
hey. I didn't because they had the thing over your name, so I couldn't even see it.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's like the one thing StreamYard hasn't fixed is that when you highlight comments, it like the shrinking thing where it kind of like shrinks everything. I'm okay with that, but why does it need to get rid of the names? I don't get it. There's no way StreamYard has not been like bitched at consistently for that.
I think Ian Chen has the answer. Come on, Ian, hit us with it.
It's really good to see you, Ian. I feel like I haven't talked to you in ages, mate.
We've
I know
never
you
talked
probably
face
don't
to
do that.
face. No, we've never talked face to face.
That's right. That's right.
So,
We talked.
and I said a couple times, hello, my Aussie
Why am
friend,
I
but you
hearing?
ignored it.
Why does it sound like either Mark or Ian is having a conversation with themselves right now? What's going on? I'm confused.
What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean.
He's making a joke about you guys sounding the same, but I bet you
We do not sound the same. That's ridiculous.
That's racist. You black and you white
Yes.
people all look the same to me.
That's
Yes, Australian is a race now. Yes.
White people all look the same to me. Black people all look the same to me. There you go.
The race of the future.
You know, and that's a
There's
coincidental.
1.5
because
billion of us.
that is coincidental, Ian, because I look the same to me as well.
Well, the funny thing is,
sorry, go ahead, Leo.
No. Go, Mark. Go.
Well, it's a tangent. So if yours is more connected to what
I don't think mine is.
All right. Well, yeah. Today on my stream, I was talking about like 30 people in New South Wales did an anti-LGBTQI parade down the street, reciting the Lord's Prayer and stuff. Yeah, I know. It's just, and the police are like by the side of them in case, you know, some gay bear wants to beat the crap out of them or whatever. You know, they had to protect them. But just these freaking idiots. And there was only 30 of them. It was basically a classroom amount full of these morons, like, you know, protesting that people are gay. It's like, what are you guys doing? Seriously.
Did you tell them
like,
that they were like a few weeks too late for the Mardi Gras?
New South
Mark,
Wales.
Yeah,
What
I
can
know.
you say, man? New South Wales.
Well, I mean, if they went to the Mardi Gras, there would be 30 people in a sea of, you know, 100,000. So that's not the impact they want to make. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, Lorraine, go ahead. I didn't mean
I
to.
want to ask you a question though. How do protests go in Australia?
How do
I
they
know how
go?
to go
What do you
here
mean
in
they go?
America. So how do they go in Australia with those sort
How
of?
do they go? I'm not sure what you mean.
How do they play out?
About the same
similar,
as America,
except
but
Without
no
the
one
fear
has
of gun violence, what's it like?
No, we don't have
What's it like
guns.
to go-
We don't have guns.
very similar, except
Yeah.
no one gets shot. I
Bree
think.
answered the Bree.
Yeah, well, I mean, the protests have been on a fair bit actually. They had the climate extinction protests and things like that. Usually, they're pretty orderly and nothing really goes wrong. There
We had
was
some violent ones during the anti-mask, anti-vaxxers protesters, at least in Melbourne.
Well,
I don't know
that's
if you had it in Perth.
Well, they
But
were
we had
anti-vaxxers, so I'm not surprised they were
Yeah.
violent fucking troglodytes.
not at all.
Like,
Like there
people
was
got
only
arrested.
like
Horses
yeah,
got beaten
I
up. They were hitting the police horses.
Mm.
yeah. Well, not in WA, no. In WA, there was. I mean, people did protest sort of the mandates, but there was nothing to
But
them.
to answer your
Big-
question, Lorraine, is we don't have guns, so we don't have the threat of gun violence, and people don't run over each other's in cars, so we don't have that either.
Well, but there's also another factor that I would wonder if you guys have in Australia. Do you have motivated, militarized police forces that will stir up violence?
No.
Okay, yeah. See, we do here in the United States. We do have
The
motivated,
police-
militarized police forces that will stir up violence.
The police here are. I mean, they can be out of line, and there is, there's problems with corruption in police, like everywhere, kind of thing. But the police generally take sort of a back seat and sort of go, unless you're actually disturbing people. That the police don't give enough of a shit over here, quite frankly. They don't care that much. Unless you're actually disturbing the peace or doing something horrendous, they just don't care. They more just try and make things peaceful than anything else. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the police are like.
I'd
I'm
say,
not
Mark,
afraid of the police.
That's much better now. Like, I think if you look at the history in Victoria back in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of police shootings.
Yes.
They were probably a little
Yeah.
bit too trigger happy. There was people that were being
Oh,
shot because they're being
What
approached
was
by
that
baseball
team?
bats or whatever.
Yeah,
But,
what
you
was
know,
that team? It was the tactical response
Yeah, they
group,
had
PRG, wasn't it?
I can't remember, but we had an issue in my state where police were really
Yeah.
trigger happy, shooting people that was approaching them with baseball bats or whatever, and they were dying. So there was a big, massive outroar. There was a big, massive public education and police education program. And since then, I think the police have been very, they've taken a step back. They're not as aggressive, and that we've had this for the last 20 years or so. So yeah, maybe take something like that in America, something like shock.
And there's still problems as well. Like Aboriginal deaths in custody is still a fucking problem. Like that happens way too often, and it's unnecessary. And there's problems, but I think Australia has sort of the political will to address some of these problems and go, hey, we need to do something about that. So
you said who has the will?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Australian people.
Australia. Okay. At first, I thought you said American people. I was like, no, he had to have said Australian.
Australian people.
Yeah.
Question: out of curiosity, what year? I know there was "quote unquote" equivalent of a Sandy Hook.
1996.
That Australia had.
1996
What year?
in Tasmania. 1996 in Tasmania. 26 people were killed, and at that time was the highest mass. Obviously, you Americans have blown that out of the water, but back then it was the highest in the world. 26 people.
I think it still is the highest in the world.
No. There's like 50 something of that. Las
Really?
Vegas shooting died. Yes.
Oh,
The one at the gay nightclub. I think I don't know if it beats the Las Vegas one, but I know the one at the. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter that it's a gay nightclub. But the one at the nightclub in Orlando was, I think, and I don't know if this was all people killed or the total of killed plus injured, but it might be the latter. But that was like 50-something people, at least killed plus injured.
The Pulse Club.
I did.
I thought Las Vegas. I thought the one in Las Vegas was that the one in Mirage. I thought.
Yeah, that's the guy with the gun from the building.
Yeah, I think Mirage,
It's
right?
like 52 people or something. I don't know. That number seems to ring a bell.
I wanted to say really quickly something that Ian suggested is that like the United States could take similar measures or that it might take like a shocking instance for the United States to take similar action to like what Australia has done with respect to the police. While I think that has happened in other countries, I think that has not happened in the United States. And what leads me to believe that is when I look back at how the police treated black people throughout the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, even the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, even today. When I look at things like Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, all of these things, and yet fucking nothing is done, because in this country, the police are effectively an extension of the military. That's really what they are. They are not designed to keep the peace. They are not designed to rein in crime. They are designed to protect the power and property of the very, very wealthy and very, very powerful. That is what they do, and that is why I say, personally, abolish the police.
Well, absolutely.
I don't
am I pronouncing your name right? Leophile?
Leophilius.
Yeah,
Clearly.
rise
You can just call me
You're
Leo.
absolutely right. When we get the SCOTUS ruling that the police do not have to protect, they have no obligation to protect.
Two times
any
the Supreme Court
citizen.
has ruled that. I think
They
it is,
are
isn't it?
only here to support the law. That is all police are here for.
To serve and support. That's what it is.
I think
They
it's.
should change
I
it.
might be
Serve.
mistaken, but I think it's 2 times the Supreme Court has ruled that the goal of law enforcement in the United States is not to protect and serve communities, but is to uphold the law regardless of what the law is. And there have been several instances in states where, like, either state Supreme Courts or I think maybe one circuit court has even ruled exactly the same thing. Like, the system has made it explicitly obvious what the purpose of police in the United States is. I don't know how people look at this and say, oh, well, that's not true.
Qualitative immunity.
Capital.
Qualitative immunity.
I get that I don't live there, and I get that you know, the systems are completely different. I get that between Australia and the US, but I don't see abolishing the police as being particularly useful, like just getting rid of all of them, if that's what you're suggesting. I think that the system can be changed to reflect, like Ian Chen was talking about, like, you know, we had a problem with these cops in Victoria, and the policies changed with enough political will. I don't think that the US is beyond saving in that respect. I don't think that you can't.
Well,
I think that
we could rebuild it from the ground up, but we'd have to change the way it's structured. It's structurally unable to stand on its own. Our police literally are able to just, they don't have to do anything to help people. Yeah.
They literally don't have a constitutional duty to protect.
Yeah, it's like at least here in the United States.
Constitution be changed.
Because the formal processes, like for the United States this is also the same reason why people who think that like the Democrats could abolish the Second Amendment is fucking stupid. Because whether you wanted to abolish or add an amendment to the Constitution, like formally in the United States, would just be so like the country is so fucking divided. There's no fucking realistic way either of the two is going to happen any fucking time soon. So that's the main reason. It's not that the Constitution can't be changed. It's just that this culture, society in the U.S. is such that it does not meaningfully furnish that at all.
Now, when 50% of the population, nearly 50% of the population is voting for Donald Trump, how do you explain that?
That's disturbing.
Well,
disturbing.
I think there are,
and it's even more disturbing that your choice may be Donald Trump or Joe Biden. That's disturbing because Joe Biden seems non-compos mentis to me, like he seems barely there, to be honest with you. But I'd take him over Donald Trump any day of the week, quite frankly. Like, I would rather somebody in like him. Donald Trump is a nightmare. But
well, we might have DeSantis instead. So.
I'd rather Trump than DeSantis. 8 days out of the week and twice on Sundays.
Really? I don't know much about DeSantis, to be honest with you.
You want to know why?
Oh,
Donald Trump was used by the system. Ron DeSantis is a part of the system. That's why. Donald Trump is an incompetent fool who cares about his ego. Most of what flowed from the Trump administration had nothing, abso-fucking-lutely nothing to do with Donald Trump. It was Stephen Miller. It was Mitch McConnell. It was all these other people. Donald Trump just took credit for this. It won't be the same with DeSantis. DeSantis is coordinated where Donald Trump was not. DeSantis is a part of the system where Donald Trump was not. DeSantis is an actual full-on fucking fascist, whereas Donald Trump was just an incompetent fool who would say and do whatever he could because he thought it was going to maximize his ego. I would 100% take Donald Trump over Ron DeSantis.
Okay. Like I said, I don't know a lot about him.
Yeah, I can't say I honestly care so much about American politics, but Trump would just be funny. I remember the days when he was president. I'd wake up and read the news and just have a giggle. It was quite entertaining.
It was a little scary,
I miss
though.
those days. I miss those days. Hasn't been funny. these days.
Actually delayed coming out until after the Trump administration. Is that weird?
Why is that?
No.
I'd probably still be in the closet if he had won a second term.
Yeah.
Because he
literally
policies, or I don't
certain
know why.
ways that did not sort of encourage the LGBT.
we are only 4 votes away from reversing our right to LGBTQ marriages.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you guys just recently voted that in. It was a fairly recent thing in America, wasn't it?
2014, wasn't it?
2012.
2014? That like Obama
It's been
officially
established at
legalized
the-
gay
yeah.
marriage, something like that.
It's been established at the state level for most states for a while before that, but not too long. I think some of them were in the 2000s.
It's fairly recent in Australia, was it?
And
Mark?
then
It was like 2017.
Obergefell, I can't remember when that came. That was 2015. So yeah.
Where was it for Australia, Mark? 2017, I think we made it legal.
What
Gay
legal?
marriages. Gay marriages.
Oh yeah, maybe a 2016. I think it was very recent. Yeah,
It was
let
pretty
me have a
recent,
look.
guys, but it was a massive, overwhelming support for it. It's like it was 80+%.
Yeah,
So
I
don't think
remember
it's a-
marching in a protest for it. I
Wow.
was on
Yeah.
the street for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
was,
made it.
was-
We made it part of our education system in the 1800s, I think.
No, you're right. December 2017. Yeah.
2017.
Just saying.
okay.
Public school in UK, very far advanced.
Public school, isn't that a church school? in
No,
the
public
UK?
school is like a private school, what you call a private school.
Then
Yeah.
So what's,
wait,
what's a real public school in the UK then?
Well, like Oxford, Cranmer.
Oxford's not privately
Eton.
owned.
Yes, that's what they mean in this country. Public schools are the top of the.
So public means private. See, this is what I
Oh.
don't understand. You guys
do you mean
invented
by
the
that?
fucking language, and now public means private. What is this shit? And we let these people walk around and like have passports and stuff.
Sorry, Mark.
Don't ask him for chips.
What do you mean by public schools? Because usually public schools are owned and run by the government, not by. Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't call our
sure.
university
Sure.
system public schools. They're definitely privately
Is
owned.
it-
and
are you talking about a
privately
state
Well-
system, Simos?
No, it's not state. They're privately owned schools, and they're called public schools. Our state system schools are called comprehensive or grammar schools sometimes.
Grammar.
Yeah,
schools, okay.
I literally
Not
just
anymore.
Googled it
They're
from
all.
from Project Britain. A public school is an independent secondary school. This is speaking of about the United Kingdom. A public school is an independent secondary school. Public schools in England are not run by the government.
That's correct.
The fuck?
There you go.
I don't
So
know how they're
weird.
public.
How are they
well,
public then?
It's counterintuitive.
they're run
right?
not for profit, I would assume.
Who runs the public schools
No,
then?
they're
Who runs the
profit.
public schools?
They're run
They're
for
run for profit.
profit. They are
Of
for
course they are.
profit.
Eton.
Okay, so they're
Eton
just
is
not
probably
public
one of the
schools.
oldest schools in the country, and it's been private for a long time. I think probably because the school system started so long ago.
Taxpayers don't pay for public schools.
No.
No. From
Comprehensive
Wikipedia,
schools, they do.
in England and Wales, a public school is a type of free charging private school originally for older boys. They are public in the sense of being open to pupils irrespective of locality, denomination, or paternal trade or profession. In Scotland, a public school is synonymous with a state school in England and Wales. Free charging schools are typically referred to as private or independent schools.
Yeah,
Leo,
Where
can
do they
you
get their funding from?
basically the school started so long ago that back in the day, back in the 1400s, right, then there was no such thing as a public sector. So the word public had a different meaning.
I think it's clear that it's the Australians and the Americans that perverted the English language. So this is obviously the real definition of English.
Right, right.
Hey, but Leo,
So-
can you show me your public
This
parts,
is
Leo?
King's English.
Leo,
So-
show us your public parts.
Exactly.
What?
So in the USA, I know that
Public
we
parks?
owe our public school system
Private
to
parts, public.
the
Oh.
church,
I got it, Ian.
to the
It-
Puritan
I-
church, actually.
yeah, I got it.
To the what?
Right,
Wait,
right.
what? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
which
well,
church?
because the puritanical churches of Massachusetts, who was it? Cotton Mathers, the Salem witch trial guy. He did this. What was it called? It's something Satan doctrine or whatever. That not having educated population is a sin. That ignorance is a sin. So they required everybody to go to public school so that they could go to Harvard, which was also his school. So that's the history of the public school in the U.S. Because it started with a model based on the colony in Massachusetts, and it spread through the rest of the colonies, and there was built all the other systems of local schoolhouses was built on that model. Any town with more than I think it was 50 people was required by colony at the time, by colony law, to have a school for the students to attend for basic grammar.
You want to know another really interesting fact about the United States? Well, I just completely forgot what it was. Wow. What the fuck was I just
Wow.
gonna say?
They smoke a lot of weed. Is that?
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I forgot what I was. I forgot what I was gonna say right as I was taking a hit. That's the funny
It's all
part.
good, man.
Yeah.
There's
I'm so
nothing notable
long-winded
about the
and-
United States. It's fine.
And
Oh,
nobody
I
ever interrupts me when I
remembered.
get to go, and it's so crazy.
I remembered. The United States Postal Service system is actually outlined by the U.S. Constitution, and so one thing that I like to do personally
Random.
when I'm talking to like conservatives or people like opposed to like public institutions broadly, is ask them if they think that having the a state run, which it's really quite frankly more of like a communally run or a municipally run system, because at the end of the day, who is it that's at your U.S. postal office in the U.S.? It's not some government agent. It's Sue, who lives like 3 houses down. Like that's how it works. Anyway, I'll always ask them, like, so do you think that this is a meaningful system to have for people? Like this extremely cheap, if not practically costless ability to send letters and mail and stuff like that. Usually I get, yes, that is a meaningful system. And I always ask, don't you think that it would be equally meaningful to do the same thing with like healthcare or education? And that's usually when I see, or rather hear, things start clicking and gears starting to rotate. And then it's just like, oh, okay.
I was curious,
Well-
real quick, before we move to another topic. In Australia, do you all put that extra I in aluminum?
Yep.
Aluminium.
And the
Aluminium. Yeah.
Aluminum.
Well, that's what
You
the
do?
guy who invented it.
Wait,
calls it.
do you guys
Like,
put the
Yes.
extra
The
U
person
in
that discovered it.
phosphorus?
and color and honor. Yep.
And armor.
I still spell
COL.
And rigor.
phosphorus with an extra
Flavor?
U.
COL.
Yeah, well, the aluminium, the guy that invented it said it was aluminium, but that doesn't fit with the naming standard of all the other elements. So, helium.
It's funny because it actually does. Because aluminum is just UM at the end, NUM. Aluminium, gallium, germanium, selenium, helium, beryllium, lithium, sodium, magnesium. So aluminium is technically more accurate. But Americans are
So-
dumb.
Dan,
and
was
don't
that
know
off the top of
anything.
your head?
Well, yum, yum.
after the first 4, I had to look to my right and look at my periodic table.
No.
But I brought the first,
I
the
knew
first
it.
4 from memory.
I love that Leo
Maybe
has
it's
a
the other way
periodic
around.
table.
I read somewhere that one of the spellings of it was to keep with the convention of all the other elements, kind of thing, like you pointed out. So maybe
It was
I got
originally
the other way around.
coined as aluminum, and then they changed it. They said, "Hey, this doesn't fit with the rest of them. Let's change
All right,
it."
so I
put
got it
this
the
I
reverse
in
way
here."
around here. Okay.
It's
And
the
then
same
they
reason.
said, "Hey, yeah." And they said, "Hey, US, do you want to change this word because we're updating?" They're like, "Nah, we're good." And so we're same reason, like the like I think Leo was about to say about the metric system. But go ahead, Leo.
No, I was going to say it's the same reason why I think that molybdenum should be molybdenium.
Oof.
Why the fuck is it not molybdenium instead of molybdenum?
Well, you convinced me with the aluminium, but molybdenum is going too far there.
That's not too far now.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be Californium?
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 That is
Why
what it
isn't
is.
it like
It is,
why
yeah,
is it like-
Californium.
if this is the
Americium?
standard though? Then why is it like mercurium or ironium?
Oh, there you go.
I don't know. Because I think those come
Goldium.
from a different. I think there are older elements that come from a different convention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hydrogen.
They're just they're grandfathered. Then is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was talking to Beamsy a while back, and he was telling me that the funniest mineral composition is a mineral called Cummingtonite.
Nice.
Yeah, everybody says coming tonight, and the funny thing is I just prefer to pronounce it coming tonight rather than coming tonight. Coming tonight. That way,
Well,
people
it's
don't, you know.
It was named
Cummington,
after
yeah.
where it was found in the 1800s, which was
Mhm.
Cummington in the
Yep.
United Kingdom.
Coming
Mhm.
tonight?
Yes.
I like it.
I think we've all.
And they didn't
So-
have our
Already did.
particular way of describing things in the 1800s. So, yeah, it's named after Cummington. So they didn't do it as a joke. It was just a very unfortunate
Mhm.
etymology of
And
words, really.
we all appreciate Cummington.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm looking at the periodic table right now, and like half these elements all end in eum. Like, what the fuck? Like, let's just. It's like the other thing that just fucks with me hard in particle physics. You have protons, neutrons, electrons, leptons, bosons, photons, gluons, and then there's quarks. What?
What would you?
What the
Quarkons?
fuck is a quark? Then there's quarks.
They're just quirky.
Why don't we call them chromons? Because
Really, you're
quantum
gonna bring up
chromodynamics. And then
You're
they don't
gonna
call
bring
them
up the weird
chromons.
naming of quantum dynamics, and you're not going to talk about like the properties of quarks, like
That's what I'm
flavor.
saying, though.
And
Yeah.
Oh,
comes
okay.
from a book. It comes from a book that he really liked.
Yeah, the guy that first discovered. I don't even remember which quark was it. The top quark? No, I don't think it was.
But he was
No.
pretty quirky though.
Which quark was it? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
That's bad. That's a thing I should know. I should know which quark was the first quark discovered. I'm about to
Which
find
is your
out.
favorite quark, the top quark or the bottom quark?
So
I don't have a
if it
favorite
ends
quark.
in "ite," is it always a compound?
I don't like calling it a bottom quark. I don't
What's
get
the
that.
It's a versatile
I was
quark.
gonna tell a chemistry joke, but I wasn't sure if I'd get any reaction.
Oh,
Nice.
Hey,
love bad
actually,
jokes.
hold on, guys.
Like it.
I got a good insect joke. Just a minute.
Go on.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. This is gonna bug me.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, base
Chromons,
theory's
yeah.
on.
How the fuck can Google be this fucking
Get on here,
terrible
Grayson.
at,
Get on
like,
here.
giving answers? Like, it says, so I typed in which quark was the first discovered, and this is what I get first from CERN. In 1964, two physicists independently proposed the existence of the subatomic particles known as quarks, but it doesn't tell me which fucking one! There's 6 of them, you morons! Which one was found first? Like, how is this hard, dude? I don't get
Weren't they
How
theorized?
can it just say this one quark was the one that was first found in this year? Like, this isn't difficult. I don't understand how humans have just shitty fucking technology. I don't get it.
I thought that they were theorized as part of atomic theory way back in the 40s.
Well,
My mistake.
I think they were first theorized in the 50s or 60s as
I
a
guess it's
means.
64, did you say?
Well, what did that say? Let me scroll back up. I'm sorry.
Or-
256.
I guess I meant
Yeah,
hypothesized.
1964.
Yeah. Okay, my mistake. I'm wrong about most things. That's okay.
Well, I noticed nobody's talking about my debate and praising me.
Well,
I tried to.
I was,
did
I was
try
didn't
gonna
say
say,
it, but you did amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
thank
did
you.
you get back?
Thank you.
Snake literally rendered his prey speechless.
Thank you.
That's why I go with the constrictor classification. If somebody wants to argue about.
Sorry, go ahead, Bree. Sorry.
No, that's it. That's all I was gonna say. If snake is a
Constrictor class.
constrictor, probably a boet of some type.
I like how they don't really. I mean, they constrict, but they don't actually put a lot of pressure on. They just wait for things to breathe out, and then just tighten at that point, and then they can't breathe.
What
they
is
don't
it like
actually crush
constricting your
anything.
snake, Taylor?
Hmm?
Like when you constrict your snake, what is it like? Does it go red and angry and purpley?
Let's just say
Does it spit out venom after a while?
let's just say I'm coming tonight.
Spitting,
Yeah, that's
the spitting cobra.
It's as hard as coming
Yeah.
tonight.
That'll get Grayson in here. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
still think it was a neurotoxin though, because he rendered his prey speechless.
That's hard to do with considering who his prey was.
Hovind has never had a new argument or anything new for ages. I presume it was just, we've never seen a bumblebee come from a horse or some stupid
You've never seen a
thing
dog
like
come
that.
from a mosquito?
Bananas.
We've only ever seen dogs produce dogs.
By the way, I got an answer to my question.
I've only ever seen
What
straw
question?
men produce.
Which quark was the first one discovered? I did actually get an answer. I found the answer to that. There was up and down quarks. They were discovered in 1968 through a process called deep inelastic scattering. I fucking knew that. I'm such a dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
You're so
Yeah.
dumb. You should have known that.
We're ashamed.
I
of
did.
you
That's the
even-
thing. I'm reading and I'm like, wait, but I knew this. Oh God, I'm
Why are
so
you even-
fucking stupid.
Why are you even in here talking about quarks? We don't even know that. You're embarrassing yourself, Leo.
Don't even know what. Wait, you know what quarks are?
I can't trust
What?
anything you say anymore about cosmology.
Yeah, I've totally
I
lost
wouldn't
all
either.
faith in your
Something
ability.
basic
Over.
like that, wrong. Just can't trust you anymore, mate.
Yeah, I mean, your argument is almost a proof of God, Leo.
I'm
I'll bet.
disappointed.
That's how I
Thank you,
heard about your
Trez.
debate. That's how I heard about it. I got a message from Trez the Lion, and he said it was awesome. So I thought, oh, okay, better go check it out.
He said it was awesome.
Yeah, he said, well, he said it was okay, but
You're
mine
gonna
was
give
better.
Taylor a big
I love
head.
the bit. I
Are you
love the bit where
odd?
you called him. Oh, that's another thing you've lied about.
What was that?
Yeah,
What was your
It was just
That was
gloves off this
best
time.
point?
That was
What was your
great.
best point in the debate, Taylor? What was your coup de grace? I gotta know.
Well, I mean, it's harder to make the case for the comparative anatomy. Like personally, my favorite moment was when he started trying to talk about the multicellular algae, and literally I just had quotes from the paper that refuted his
Mhm.
and he said he read the Nature article about the paper and not the paper. So
That was the second time that you brought that up, but I know it's been brought up to him dozens of times before to read that
yeah.
paper. I know, Mark, you brought it up to him at least once, right?
Yes. AJ's
And
brought it up. I've seen him bring it up
I've
before.
seen Snake bring it up
Everybody's
before,
brought that paper
except
up.
for Ian Chen. What the hell, Ian?
It's always my fault. Hey, I want to shout out to my wife. She just messaged me and said she was on, so I can't see her. But
Hey,
how you
hey,
doing?
What's
Ian's
her
wife.
name?
Hello.
Actually, I don't know. Her name is Ekaterina, but I don't know what it is on YouTube, to be honest.
Hey,
It's-
Katharina.
Hello,
Ekaterina.
Katharina.
I
Katharina.
do have to say though, one thing I liked about Snake's debate was when Kent said we were talking about comparative anatomy, and Kent said, "Well, I don't make comparatives." That one made
because
me laugh.
Kent
Your wife
fails.
is the woman in your avatar, right, Ian?
Yeah, that's her. That's her there.
Yeah. She's
Kent
gorgeous.
fails miserably with abstract thought. That's one of the things. He is not very good at abstract thought.
So guys, any hints? So mine's coming up April 5th. Thanks to Grayson. I swapped with him and he allowed it. Any hints? Snake? I know, Mark, you've got a lot. You've already debated him last
Oh
time.
yeah.
Funny.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm good. You go, Taylor.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I just know everything he's gonna say before he's gonna say it, so I'm sure everyone here does too. But
Oh, you think that's true, huh? So how would you explain how all of life came from just a rock? Came from rock soup? How do you explain that?
you've
That'll be
never
always
seen
where it
any
goes back
fossil
to.
give birth to any fossil. But yeah,
You can't-
I've been changing my tactic a little bit just to go more for the philosophy of science because
Yes.
it doesn't matter what real evidence you bring up. He's just gonna say you didn't see it happen. So
And there's also a couple of points. All he's going to be able to bring up are like maybe necessary conditions under which creation could happen, but none that are sufficient. That's going to be one thing. At best, we could grant that we observe necessary conditions for creation. So if somebody brings up like, oh, with the complexity of life, I can say, yeah, sure, that's a necessary condition for design in life. But it's not sufficient for design in life. So I'm gonna need sufficient conditions. What the fuck was the other thing I was gonna say? God damn it! I hate when this happens.
well, I would say, maybe prepare a response for the polystrate trees he always brings up because he claims it goes through many layers and layers of coal.
I did.
Oh shit! I remember.
I had a response when he said that in the first debate, and I knew he'd bring it up. And then I said, "Oh, there's a tree out there, Ken. His sole purpose is to replace the oxygen you wasted. So I suggest after the debate, can you go and fight it and just apologize to it?" So I actually had one just because I knew he'd say that.
Yeah,
I remembered what I was
they,
gonna say.
Go on,
Okay,
Leo.
go
You've been
ahead.
very forgetful today.
Go ahead. Then I'll go after you.
Not
yeah,
bad.
and no stuff about the heat problem too, because that just I don't know what the title of your debate is going to be, but the heat problem is just a very simple preclusion of all of creationism. So
Yeah, and his response to that is actually hilarious. The ice canopy response it's gold. It's so funny to hear him.
Why are we
Yeah,
advising against that? I want to know more about the ice canopy. I don't know
Yeah.
what's wrong with
Yeah,
you.
and
So
I think I would
Magnetic light.
recommend the heat problem
Canopy.
because the ice canopy, like Age of the Earth heat problem, and he brings up ice canopy, it is a riot. Like that, you get him to go into the specifics of how ice is magnetic and all of this. It is a laugh.
Think about the
Diamond
wavelengths of
magnetic.
light that we would have here on Earth
I'm aware.
if we had an ice canopy. We wouldn't have the colors that we have now, or with the colors that organisms have from before. That wouldn't make any sense now.
yeah,
Can you
and
expand on that to
I'd also
basically
say
the pressure was so high and therefore dragonflies were like 50 feet or something?
yeah.
The dragonflies need to be able to distinguish their environments
Because the ice
visibly.
canopy compressed the air and there was so
Can
much
I-
oxygen. Everything
So
everything became massive. That was his theory.
And I'd also say that the heat problem also doubles as a basically proof of radiometric dating, because if it's wrong, then we have a heat problem.
Well,
But
RATE,
yeah.
they have a RATE project, which is the creation institution trying to
Full
find
of
out
PhDs.
save the model from the heat problem, and they can't do it. They basically, they have to say, the creation model has to say there's something in the future that we'll find that we're unaware of that makes the heat problem be solvable. They can't solve it.
So can I add the two?
Go ahead.
So the other thing on top of the first thing that I said that I can't remember what that was now, but is that you can also add to that that creationism is just straightforwardly underdetermined by the scientific data, because the scientific data is at least equally capable of being accommodated by evolutionary theory. And then that leads into another point you could bring up, that evolutionary theory as a unified model predicts many of these things, whereas creationism does not. There may be some things that one could at least grant that creationism predicts, but it will not predict a variety of things as a unified model. It can accommodate certain things, but it does not directly predict them. And that both of these are going to be very, very strong points against creationism as any sort of meaningful scientific model whatsoever. And then that's just going to call into question its legitimacy.
Yeah, I would have that phrase. That's something I forgot to do tonight, but the basic phrase of kind of like accommodate versus predict.
Hey, Snake and Mark, do you want to see the prop that I have handy for the debate as well?
Yeah.
What
Or save it.
accommodations? What accommodations are you seeing?
Well, no, what I'm talking about at least is that if there's some fact about the world, is there a model that predicts that we should observe this, or does the model merely accommodate that observation? There's a difference between a model that predicts a thing that we observe as a novel prediction and a model that merely accommodates that observation. And what I would argue is that with creationism, it predicts very, very little, if anything at all, and most of it is accommodated. And anything that I could grant that it does predict, it does not predict it as a unified model. And so these are just going to be points against creationism as a scientific model. It's just a bunk model. Yeah,
exactly.
Mark, in your debate,
just one sec. I just want to ask Ian something. Ian, is that supposed to be Donnie? Because if you want it life size, it has to be smaller, mate. You know. Sorry.
I'd like to see like.
No, you're right. You're right.
I'd like to see a picture of a cross between Jesus and a dinosaur.
I have a
Jesus.
You mean riding a dinosaur?
Jesus?
Yeah,
No,
something
Jesus.
like Raptor Jesus, except like obviously a guy with a beard, but with like I don't know, dragon wings on or something.
So Skylar Fiction's already done that. It's called Raptor Jesus.
Well, yeah, maybe.
There you go.
Jesus with chicken feet.
Sorry,
Well,
Snake,
not quite what I meant, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask out of curiosity though? Do you think all of those creation myths have some sort of accommodation?
Yeah, I think that many of them can accommodate a lot of things. I just don't think that in any way meaningfully supports the model. I'm more of like a Lacatosian predictivist with respect to the philosophy of science. I think what makes a good model is a model that openly and directly predicts things novelly rather than merely accommodating them. So by accommodation, by accommodation here, just really quickly, all I mean is the idea that some model could be made consistent with some set of observations, whereas a model that predicts those observations has, not really in a fundamental sense, but those observations are much, much more important to the model that openly predicts them rather than the model that can be modified to sort of work with them. And that's the difference between prediction versus accommodation in the philosophy of science.
Yeah, no, I think there's a worse aspect. I mean, you're absolutely right there. I'm not taking away from what you're saying here. But, the problem is there are no predictions on the God model because anything can be accommodated. I mean, there is nothing which couldn't be accommodated when you take into account the supernatural. So,
well, I think I would.
I just think it's pointless even.
I think I would say there are conceptions of theism that do make predictions. I do think that there is a lot of accommodation in these, and that the data at least underdetermines theism. But say classical theism, I think classical theism predicts explicitly a world in which there is no evil. So
that's not what they're going to argue, though, is it? I mean,
well, of course not. But that's
theistic God. They're going to say, "Oh no."
Well, yeah, but it's probably going to be a classically theistic.
They're going to say this is the creator God.
Yeah, but it's probably going to be a classically theistic God.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. No.
I would think so. Most theists today are classical theists.
Well, they may believe that, but they're not going to argue for it. Right?
Well, but I mean, what they argue for?
Dawkins is a fundamentalist, but you'd never catch him arguing for fucking Jesus, would you?
I don't understand what that has to do. all I'm saying is that it doesn't matter if a classical theist doesn't argue for something that just intrinsically follows from their position. Of course, a classical theist isn't going to accept something like that. If classical theism is true, then there cannot be evil in the world. But that does not entail that isn't a direct prediction. That doesn't directly follow from classical theism.
Yeah, but they're not going to argue for classical theism. And that's my point. They
Well,
sidestep that
I
as
think
quickly
they
as you
are.
can possibly get.
I think they are. I think they would just
Oh,
deny that classical theism predicts a world with no evil. I think that they would just deny that prediction.
Well, I mean, maybe a Calvinist would, but I'm not sure.
I think even a non-Calvinist would, because most Christians I've talked to about this are not Calvinists, and most of them are classical theists, and most of them reject the idea that classical theism predicts that there would be no evil in the world.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, it depends what you mean by classical theism. Then, I mean, yeah.
The idea that there is a singular...
Hang on. I hadn't finished the sentence. I think they modify their idea of the omnis, right, in order to
I don't know what
accommodate
that means.
evil. They modify the idea of the omnis in order to accommodate evil, right? So they say, well, obviously there are limits on the power. Obviously, it's only what's logically possible, and even then, it's according to his nature, not according to that. And then there are some theists that say shit like, well, omniscience doesn't actually mean knowing everything and all counterfactuals. And some of them do that. Just saying, there's quite a wide variety that don't take classical theism to be what philosophy says it is.
Well, I think most do, though. So all I mean by classical theism is that there is a singular, necessarily existent agent that is all-powerful, all-knowing, and morally perfect, generally considered maximally great. You cannot conceive of a being greater than this being, and it is sovereign over anything that is not, well, it technically would be sovereign over itself, but it's sovereign over everything. And most Christians I talk to on this accept that. Now, with respect to...
that sounds like the limited version of the omnis, yeah.
With respect... I don't know what you mean by limited version of the omnis. I'm not sure what that means. But with respect to what you said, I don't deny that theists are going to try to find ways to make the concept of God within classical theism consistent with the concept of evil. What I'm saying is that their attempts to do so aren't necessarily successful. The fact that there are attempts to do so does not entail that those attempts are successful.
Well, I think it only works under particular definitions of omnibenevolence and omnipotency. So,
well, I just think it works under how those terms are.
Those are the two issues which
classically understood.
They change. Well, I don't think most theists, will argue that way.
Well, I guess I'm not sure what you mean by argue that way. When I define my terms, theists, I think there's even some people in here that would vouch for me that theists agree with it. If I say that, they say, well, when you say God is morally perfect, what do you mean? Well, I mean what the classical theist means, that God always seeks to maximize the good, that out of any decision God makes, it will be the best decision he could make, all things considered, in that situation.
Yeah, okay. So that doesn't mean, though, that evil doesn't exist, right? Under that.
That doesn't mean... No. What was that, Simos?
That doesn't mean evil doesn't exist, though, does it?
Well, I don't think that it means that. But see, and this is the thing. The argument from evil is an internal critique. It doesn't matter what position the atheist holds to. You don't even have to necessarily be an atheist to run.
I wasn't even bringing any of that up. So.
Well, but I'm just bringing that up to clarify the idea that, like, some of the positions that I hold to aren't going to be relevant to the argument from evil. So whether or not I think evil exists doesn't matter to the argument from evil. The theist, particularly the Christian or the Muslim, is going to say that evil does exist. Well, and they're also going to say that God is perfect and God is ase. And then that's just going to entail a contradiction. And I think the contradiction can be easily shown.
Well, I mean, okay. Again, I just think there are a number of ways out of it. And normally it's by limiting...
Well, I think there's attempts.
Yeah, normally it's by limiting what is definitionally meant by the omnis.
I would just...
Down several different
I'm just
routes
not clear
limiting
what that
any
means.
one of the omnis. Or they can say things like, oh, well, actually, it's the greater good. So yes, evil exists, but of course God has chosen a world for which there is the maximum amount of good coming from it.
Well, but then that would just entail that there is no evil in the world, because if yes, it does. Actually, it does.
No, it doesn't,
Well, let me explain why it does.
Okay.
So if you have some action that occurs that is being called evil, but this action this action conduces a greater good, such that the greater good cannot possibly occur without the occurrence of this evil first, then it just follows that that evil thing itself is what ought to occur, all things considered, in virtue of it being necessary to the conduction of a greater good. And in virtue of that, it is itself a good thing. It's what ought to occur, not what ought not to occur.
Right. So what's meant by evil in this respect, though, is the suffering that humans suffer, not the suffering that God suffers.
Well, God doesn't suffer. Evil is just that which ought not to occur, all things considered.
Well, not according to the theist.
Well, yes, according to the theist. The argument from evil is an internal critique. It's working from the theistic understanding of morality. They're going to say morality is normative. It is prescriptive by God's nature.
Yeah, I've heard
God's nature prescribes what we ought and ought not do as agents.
No.
Yes.
I think evil is the absence of divine.
That's what I'm saying is consistent with privation theory.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just think they have several different arguments in that respect.
Of course they do. I agree.
Like I said,
I just don't
normally
think they
it's
work.
by limiting the omnis. So
I'm still not sure what you mean by that.
Okay. Well, we'll go through
I'm genuinely, I'm not trying to like be mean or anything like that. I don't.
I've had several debates on it, and several times they've said, "Oh yeah, but that's not what it means by omnipotent, right? It's not that he gets to do can do anything. He only can do logical things. It's not what it means by omniscient.
I don't understand
how
that would be like
he knows
a limitation,
all
though.
Things, right? It's that he knows all human actions. Oh, and then there's another one that says it's not that he's omnibenevolent in the terms of God not allowing evil to exist. He allows evil to exist. It's just he knows what the ultimate good is. Right? So all of these arguments have been put forward to me in debates about the problem of evil.
That's fine. I don't think that bears on the truth of anything that I'm saying. Most theists that I speak to are going to say that omniscience entails that God knows all true propositions, and all counterfactually true propositions. Like if you're talking to say like a Molinist like William Lane Craig, they would say that omnipotence is defined as that God can actualize any logically consistent state of affairs, and they're going to define moral perfection as God's seeking to always maximize the good. God always wants and always does the best thing to do, all things considered, in any situation. And when I've ever had a discussion with this, and I could be wrong, but again, I think like Bree and maybe Mark would vouch for me on this, theists tend to agree with me on that. And when I read the literature on what classical theism is, and I listen to other classical theists out there, William Lane Craig, amongst others, how I'm understanding these things seems to be how they're understanding it. I'm not denying that theists don't try to like redefine terms or that they don't have arguments. I'm just saying I don't think any of this really works. It doesn't defeat the argument.
Well, there you go.
You're supposed to say respond after that.
One of us has got to stop talking, so you know it may as well be me. I've said.
Well, hey everyone, Snake. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, hey Grayson.
Yeah, I heard. I've heard good things about your debate, but I haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet. But I will. But I did have a question for you.
It's up on my channel, so.
Okay, yeah, I'll be sure to check it out there. Everyone gives Snake the views for that, even if you saw it live. I think it's probably going to be worth a rewatch. But
I watched it live on Snake.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that the Kaaba stone on your profile?
Yes, it is. It's from a new video that I put out today. That's like just sort of talking about where did the Kaaba stone come from? That ties in some interesting bits of history. But
nice.
yeah, and I thought I also kind of made a good profile just because I'm not at my computer at the moment. But yeah, I had a question for you, if that's all right.
Yeah.
About about tonight's
before
debate.
you do, can I ask you about the Kaaba stone a second? So that's the bit in the middle, not the, is that silver around it?
The black stone, yeah, it's a silver mounting.
The black
It's at
stone.
like
Okay.
the corner of that big cube.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to learn more about it, I mean, I do go pretty in depth on the video. It gets pretty wild. Start talking about all kinds of wild, strange topics. But yeah, Snake.
Okay.
For tonight's debate, I know that you've debated like Kent multiple times in the past, and as someone that has also done that, I can relate. And so, since I have a debate coming up with Ken, I want to ask where your headspace was at for your debate tonight. Basically, like, what kind of did you approach it with to try to make it, different or unique, or to try to really like drive home from like past debates a certain point, or what were your goals for tonight's debate, and then like how do you think that it went with that in mind?
Yeah, so especially with Kent, he just ignores any real evidence you give him. So this time I kind of just was like, screw it, I'm not really gonna give well, I've given him the evidence before, so it's like, and I try and do something different every time. So this one, I wanted to just focus on the philosophy of science. Is it scientific to make declarations about things that we haven't actually observed like directly? So that was my whole.
Well, how would you answer
tactic.
that question? I'm actually kind of curious now.
How can we or how we? I forget.
No. How would you answer that question? Can we make scientific statements about things that are unobservable? How would you answer that question?
Directly. The important part is directly.
Yeah.
Directly what?
So you can measure.
We don't observe directly, is what he said.
Yeah. As in, we can't record it live or repeat it necessarily, but so yeah, you can look at its effects. You can look at I sometimes will use like a murder scene because it's like forensics. So you can look at, well, obviously someone shoved a knife into someone's chest. If there's a knife in someone's chest, like, so it's reasonable to assume that someone put it there, not that it just kind of was created that way. But the better way is with predictive power. So if your theory can predict things about the natural world, like if we're gonna put it into the murder analogy, if I can predict, like if my hypothesis is this one guy did it, if I search his house, I should be able to find more evidence. So predictions, if you can predict things about the natural world, you know how it works.
Okay, so so let me reiterate the question. Can we make scientific statements about things that are not directly observable?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I would agree with you. I was just curious how, because what you asked there is actually a really interesting question. Because like some people might say, can we make scientific statements about quantum fields? Do we actually observe quantum fields or electrons or things like that?
Usually when I'm up against a good debater and you bring that up, like, can we observe things? The debater will usually go to problems of induction, and that's their only way to refute that. And I know it's the burn down the table to stop you winning the game, basically. And
it's the central premise of Kent's whole thing of, you didn't observe it. Did you see a snake come from an apple?
So, Snake, do you feel like Kent engaged with that question at all?
Not even a little.
It's to be expected.
You could bring up something like, you didn't see your accountant steal from you. That doesn't mean he didn't steal from you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that also jams in that his accountant stole from him. You know, that's hilarious, isn't it?
Have you ever seen an apple come from a non-apple? Yes, it's called a tree.
Wow,
Oh, I love
Simos.
it. I love it. That's actually really fucking funny. Oh god, think about how Ken would respond to that. Like, what?
You know what? I had one. I had one for it. Hang on, let me remember it. Have you ever seen a non-dog come from a dog? And you go, yeah, I've seen a dog take a shit all the time.
Taking a Hovind.
Taking a Hovind, yeah, a big fat Hovind on the lawn.
Yeah. But yeah, part of Hovind won't engage really when he's caught, so that's kind of part of it too. It's like, yeah, he didn't engage, but I got to catch him basically in avoidance mode.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, since I'm doing my my third debate coming up with I think Ian mentioned it. I switched dates with him, so I'm pretty sure I'm sometime in late April. I think.
By the way, big thanks for that.
And yeah, so I was trying to think of like what topics to even bring up at this point, because yeah, I mean, Kent just goes into this kind of like default mode where he just starts preaching basically. He's got everything memorized, he's got all the slides, and he just goes into default. But I don't know. I was trying to think of the topics that he kind of struggles the most and just kind of like hit him with some highlights. Like, I know the heat problem. He brings up all kinds of wackiness. I don't know. What are some suggestions that you guys might have for topics? Ian, your debate's coming up with him soon, so I don't know if you want to weigh in also.
Yeah,
I plan to do mine a little bit differently. Like I've got topics that I think are rarely heard. So I thought that means he doesn't have a slide for it, and he'll come back. If I can get as many, I'm not prepared for that, or I'll go and research it, which we know he won't.
Yeah, that's a win. Yep.
Yeah.
So or Donnie knows about that one. Talk to Donnie is hilarious. I love that one. So if you are in the audience, Donnie, I'm sorry, but that's hilarious, mate. Like,
it's just crush. You realize it, Donnie.
So what do you do when Hovind does his thing? So everybody's aware of the Hovind hustle, yes, where he will go on his diatribe and mention thing after thing after thing when he doesn't know the answer. He does this all the time. People have noticed his voice changes. He looks down, then he looks up, and then he just goes into, well, no one's done this and these lines on paper, and we all know the spiel. So what I can say is the way that I address that is you've got to pin him down to the question. You've got to go, okay, that's completely off the topic. Let's get back to the topic. What is this? Can you explain the mechanisms, processes, outline this? Give me specifics rather than moving on to something else, because it's just a smoke screen. That's all it is. He just doesn't know an answer. He can't back up what he said. He's got no evidence for it, and he just wants to move things around, and so he's got this technique where he basically says things that are designed to make you angry and chase them, right? He wants you to chase this. So he'll say things in a way that is condescending, really ignorant, as that's stupid as possible to make
red herrings
grab that bait, right? Red herrings, they are bait to make you grab and chase after. Don't do it. Go back to the original thing and say, that's not a refutation of my question. It doesn't answer the question. The question was, and ask it again. And why are you dodging this? Why aren't you actually giving an answer and going on about all kinds of other things? And it's hard to do, because the way he says it, it makes you so mad. Like he says, oh, they're teaching this in schools and it's stupid, and he doesn't do that for no reason. Like, there's nothing wrong with his debate tactics at all. Like, he seems like he's befuddled. He's not. He's doing it for a specific reason. It's bait. It's 100% bait.
And the playoff,
so I deal
try to keep it. Try to keep it like.
That's helpful.
Try to keep the topic like as pared down as possible. Just because he'll spawn off 100 different red herrings for every single thing.
Yeah, he gets scallops a lot.
No,
one of the ones.
Hey, beauties and bees, I'm gonna turn in for the night. It's been fun hanging out with you.
All right,
thank you, Bree.
Lovely Bree.
See you later, Bree.
Before you take off,
Bye.
Bree, you better be by my channel Thursday night at around 6 or 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Night?
Yes.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah,
Wow,
absolutely.
what's going on there? Sorry, Bree. And if you're not subscribed to Bree, go and subscribe. She does amazing things, awesome stuff.
Absolutely.
She's doing
She's
some
almost to 1,000
collabs.
subs, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Snaker, did you hit your 1,000?
Yeah, I
You
keep
did!
going from 1,001 to 1,000 and back and forth, and you helped me get there.
Congrats.
So
Yeah.
I've got
Congratulations.
86
Congrats.
guys.
Let me
Right.
get there and then we can celebrate together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you
That's
guys
86
later.
more than some people, Ian.
But I did want to build off of what Mark was saying there, because the tactic that you take against Kent Hovind really just depends on what it is what is it that you really want to talk about? Where do you want to hammer him? If you do want to go more of a scientific, talk somewhat of the science and really pin him down there, everything that Mark said is 100% spot on. You need to pin him down on it, ignore his gish galloping. He's going to use a bunch of charged language and what have you to try to disrupt you and steer you off and even gaslight you and all this shit. Ignore all that shit. Stick to the point. Point out how he's not answering the question, how he's not explaining things, and then ask him to make it a question like, why are you not answering these questions, Ken? Why are you talking about X, Y, and Z when that's not relevant to what I'm asking? However, if you want to take more of a philosophical route, I would go with respect to the philosophy of science. I would talk about underdetermination of creationism by the scientific data, the fact that it accommodates more than it predicts. And there's a variety of other issues that creationism is going to have. But I think the second one would throw Kent off his game way more because he just has no fucking understanding of any of that. But the first method is I think going to do very, very, very well against him because it will also throw him off his game. If you just ignore his tactics, keep him to the point, and make it explicitly clear in a as at least as respectful as you can, the dishonesty of the tactics he's engaging in, the discussion will go well for you.
Man, I wonder if
Totally.
I wonder if I could get Kent to agree on a debate like creationism on trial, and just bring up all these points that
No chance.
No, I've tried. I've tried and tried and tried. He won't even do creation versus evolution, like both of them at once kind of thing. He will not touch creation with a 10-foot barge, but he won't go there.
So
because if you apply the same standard of evidence he wants for evolution to creationism, it's absurd. Because, we've never seen anything like a god create anything or do anything or if you have to directly witness it, it's absurd. It doesn't not only do we not directly witness it, we have the Bible where we don't even know who's claiming to have witnessed it. It is absurd. So he will never ever do that debate, like ever. He just wants to do evolution.
One of the things
he's doing God of the Gaps, and he's doing it hard.
One of the things I quite enjoyed in Snake's debate was at a point where Snake was rehammering, this was in the questions and answers, rehammering the point about the convergence of several different areas of evidence in science. I can't remember exactly what all three were. Geology and anthropology. I know geology and chemistry and
embryology.
Yeah. Whatever they were. Three different ones. And he said, yeah, but all these scientists, obviously, they've had to pass the same test, right? And so the teacher wouldn't have marked them if they didn't give the same answer. Right? That's why they've all come to the same conclusion, right? So that's the dishonesty level you're talking about. And then when he was pulled up on that, he said, yeah, but obviously science is going to come up with the same answer. So again, another conflation of three different sciences, right, into science in general. So those are the verbal kind of tricks that he likes to pull, right?
Yeah.
Which is just marvelous. I mean, that's why, again, I think there's a lot of issues when you talk to somebody that dishonest that's going to pull those kind of tricks, and he's actually cognizant of the way they could be used to deflate or at least influence audiences that already believe in the the counterpoint.
Well,
You know,
he's an old dog with no new tricks. So if you're aware of what he's doing, don't be afraid to bring it up and point it out. Like it's a debate. It's not like you've got to dance around him or whatever. You can point this out. You can say, hey, like telling me that I have to stick it to one topic at a time and then bringing up 4 or 5 different topics is dishonest. You are expecting things out of me in this debate that you will not adhere to, which is it's what's fascinating about him is he'll make these demands or expectations and immediately break them. He'll sort of go only one topic at a time and then immediately talk about 3. Like he doesn't seem to have any sense of conscience as far as, breaking agreements or lying or doing any of these things. Like he really is kind of sociopathic in that sense. He doesn't see a problem with it at all. Either that or he's just unaware that he's doing it. One of the two.
You're absolutely right in the first point there. I mean, to be honest with you, Mark, I've never seen a non-criminal come from a criminal. So I think we know sociopathic is probably the right word. Also,
possibly. I mean, I'm not a psychologist.
Just to say, likewise, I am being flippant, of course, but just to say, look, he's only aiming his critique.
Leo, could you masturbate quieter, please?
Masturbate? No, I was itching my ear. What are you talking about?
It's all right. He's already finished. Look, the other point is that he's, of course, only really addressing, and he's only interested in addressing his audience. And that I feel that that's where people need to start going after Ken, right? In the way he interprets the data towards his audience. Right. So when he makes these mistakes, I wouldn't even bother with the topic anymore. I would just be pointing out the logical fallacies and flaws in his speech that makes it clear that he's doing what he's doing. Right. When he said, "Oh, well, hang on a minute, you said science. I said 3 different sciences. So do you not understand the difference between these different sciences?"
Yeah.
Why would you just conflate them all into one and say they will give the same answer? Because that's not
why
necessarily the case.
A car to a human is a category error. Like you can't say a car's not related because, of this, that, and the other. A car's not related because it's not a biological organism. That's why it's not related. You're making a category error trying to compare one to the other.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to dumb it down for his audience, though, of course. But yeah,
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And likewise, the point where Snake said, "Oh, hang on a minute. Well, this is wrong. You said this. You said the contradictory thing earlier, right? That's why you're lying again, right?" And he had to stop. He literally stopped in his tracks. That was the moment I could see his audience looking at him, going, "Well, what are you going to say?" And that, as long as if you can get that length of time just to extend even over 2 or 3 seconds, you've probably won a few hearts in his audience. Because it's embarrassing for him. It's absolutely embarrassing for him to get caught out like that.
Well, nicely done, Snake.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I did want to touch on Mark's debate with him a little bit.
It wasn't a debate. It was just going into a room. It wasn't.
Oh
a debate.
yeah. But he brought up the diamagnetic water, and to my understanding, that means it's repulsive. Maybe Leo knows most about this, but would it be repulsive to both types of magnetic poles? Leo or anyone? He must be gone. But
I think he's probably masturbating now. Somebody said it. I'm only joking, Leo.
Isn't Ken saying that like the water created a magnetic field essentially?
No, that it settled near the magnetic field of the poles, and that's where
because that's where the magnetic field
ice came from. Yeah,
he's saying that somehow the water had it followed along Earth's magnetic field to settle on the poles and form the glaciers, I guess.
Because it was super cooled. But to my understanding, it wouldn't be attracted to the poles, it would be repelled by the poles. because
it says repel.
What's that?
Yeah.
So with a diamagnetic, anything really, or water, would it be repulsed by both, like the positive and negative magnetic poles?
I believe so.
That's what I thought. Because it has a magnetic field in the presence of another magnetic field.
Yes, it's a diamagnetic object is an object that does not have an intrinsic magnetic dipole. It doesn't have a north and a south pole intrinsically. It will gain one in the presence of a magnetic field, but when this occurs, that magnetic field is, I believe, like perpendicular or something like that to the actual magnetic field that's inducing it, and so this produces a repulsive force between them rather than an attractive force.
So how would it be attracted to the poles of the Earth if it's diamagnetic? Shouldn't it be forced away from the poles?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Well,
and how diamagnetic is water? I mean, or ice kind of thing.
So as
and
usual,
the thing is,
diamagnetism
is a weak effect anyway. Where there is either paramagnetism or ferromagnetism, those are almost always going to overcome diamagnetism because it is a weak effect.
Well, yeah. So Kent had it completely opposite as usual.
Which effectively means that in the presence of a very strong magnetic field, ice will exhibit a magnetic field.
And I think I read somewhere that it's like the Earth's magnetic field is like 100 times weaker than it needs to be.
I can't say anything about that.
Yeah.
Weaker for what?
Than to have a diamagnetic effect on water.
Oh yeah, I mean, I should think it's tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, the power, what is it? 2 electrons.
Earth's magnetic field is not very strong, actually.
And his argument was that the diamagnetic effect has something to do with the very low temperature, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. He said that it was to do with the temperature of it. I don't know. I'm going to take off, guys. I got to go. But
I
it
guess
was
if it
such a pleasure to
freezes
talk to
in
you
a
all.
magnetic field, that might make a difference.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same as well. So
all right,
well, it's really good to see you, Ian. I'm glad we
definitely,
caught up.
definitely
I'm
great
pretty
to see
sure
you.
I've talked to you live before, like once or something. I'm pretty sure I have.
I rarely come on, so I doubt it.
You guys
But
need to meet up.
I've got both Mark and Grayson, so I'm happy. First time.
All right.
Peace, guys.
Peace out, Ian.
Good to see everybody.
Bye.
See you.
Peace out.
All right, guys. Anything else on your minds?
Yeah, actually, if you have thoughts on either critical race theory or quote-unquote transgenderism or other wokest subjects, you should swing by my stream Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it will be an open mic, but it's limited to 6.
All right. When was it again?
This Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
I might take you up on it.
Well, the first debate that I ever actually recorded, it's not on YouTube or anything, but it was the topic was on critical race theory. Basically, I was outlining, the 4 basic tenets and just showing the preponderance weight of evidence that supports them as like any logical person would be able to agree with them, as laid out in like the foundation of the argument. And then I mean, it was just so easy to.
Who did you debate with?
To make the case. It was just a random person on Facebook, like before I started a channel that just wanted to do like a recorded debate, like a stream debate. But it was just before I even had a channel. But so it's definitely a topic that I'm interested in. Is mainly my point.
Hell yeah.
And
Nice.
also, the name of my channel, like base theory, is like short for critical base theory, which is kind of a pun on critical race theory, like to begin with.
Well, I for one am somewhat critical.
And I, for one, am somewhat based.
Well, all right, guys.
All right.
I guess that makes me the trans then.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I guess like a trans came up in the video with the Kaaba stone. Actually, like in that.
How?
Oh, it does. In that there was the first emperor of Rome who could potentially have been trans, as in like, I mean, preferred to be called a lady rather than a lord, and would would like dress in dresses, wear makeup and wigs and stuff, and
What, Julius Caesar?
no, it was this young like kid from like Syria originally who was the high priest of a cult of a black stone, which was an Arabic religion in the Middle East. And like in the video, I basically play with the idea that stone found its way into Arabia and is currently the Kaaba stone that's kind of like at the heart of Mecca.
Interesting.
So yeah, kind of like the first trans Roman emperor, kind of had some kind
not
of
a Roman
contribution
emperor
in
though,
history.
right?
No, they were a Roman emperor.
Right.
Like they were in addition to being the high priest for this cult, they ascended to the throne. They were the number one emperor in Rome. I think the year's like 218, but they only reigned for 4 years because they were super weird religiously, and they brought the black stone to Rome and like built a whole temple for it and everything. And it really freaked people out, and he got assassinated pretty quick.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm going to look it up, but
yeah, it's a really weird,
AD or
interesting
BC?
episode of history.
Pre-Julian. Okay, so that's not going to be it. Anyway, I was going to just ask you quickly about, the scarab beetle from Egypt. Have you heard about that?
Just
what about it?
The beetle itself, the bug?
No, the actual statues, or I should say, jewelry made into scarab beetles.
Yeah, what about them?
It comes from a particular black stone.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know that there's like thousands of them. They're one of the most like common artifacts from Egypt, like the Middle Kingdom.
Okay, well these are I'm not sure of the dates, but some of them, I don't know if all of them is the right word to use, but some of them, and especially some of the more I don't know, whatever status held ones, come from a particular black stone, which was they believed part of a meteorite that fell into the desert.
Yeah, there's a word for it I learned while researching this video. I think it's called a beetle. I think that's how you pronounce it, but it refers to natural objects that are worshipped like gods. So like this is like a common occurrence, not just in like with the Kaaba stone where like it's believed to be a meteorite that like is worshipped. Like it's not a god within the framework of modern Islam, but at one point in history, it probably was worshipped as a god. And there's lots of like in Greece, they worshipped a meteorite as an actual deity. They've done it a bunch of times in history. I think the object is called a beetle, but it can be a tree, it can be like a mountain, all kinds of natural, like just as long as it's not a man-made object, then it counts. It's like a weird niche kind of term that I learned today.
Yeah. Anyway, I just pass it because it's weird that they refer to it as well as being a highly prized thing from the gods, which is why they made these particular.
Leo, are you still there?
Yes.
I was gonna say earlier, the first quark to be found, I would think, would be either an up or a down quark.
Yes. It's 1968, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I don't know which one of those two, but I would assume it would be one of those.
I don't know if it was both at the same time or what, but yeah. They were the first ones found in protons in 1968.
So, Snake, how do you feel after your debate tonight? You feel like this was like you feel pretty proud of yourself? Like it was a good show?
Yeah, I mean, obviously stuff I could have done different, but I think it was probably the best one I had with Kent. There was Donnie stopped me from playing the video I wanted to do, but I've been wanting to do that for a while, so I mean, that was as close as I could get.
What video was it? Do you want to show it on this stream?
Oh, I can, yeah. That'd be a good
I just want to say really
way to
quickly,
leave it off.
I thought this whole time, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Grayson's profile picture was a picture of the compressor inlet on a turbocharger. I'm now realizing that is not what it is.
No, it is the Kaaba stone that Muslims pray to 5 times a day in Mecca.
I called it. All right, well, we can watch this. That'll be a good spot to leave it off on. Let me know if the audio is coming through. So,
this is something that almost
Yes.
every Christian that you talk to seems to understand about how our criminal justice system is completely unbiblical, and that. Go ahead.
I am so embarrassed that it took me 40 years as a Christian reading my Bible to come to that same conclusion. We're doing it totally the wrong way. Our system is completely unbiblical. I think there must be something like a mean gene, something in the genetic code that makes animals vicious or mean. But I think there is something in the genetic code that deals with the disposition toward gentleness or meanness. And I think in God's perfect law, if we would continually execute people that do see certain crimes, we would gradually get a much better society that not so many people have this mean gene in them.
What about where the Bible says that adulterers should be put to death, homosexuals, or those who commit bestiality and things like that?
Absolutely, yes. And witchcraft. Those, according to the Bible, are death sentences. If indeed adulterers were executed, very quickly society would be much more calm and I'm not saying we should do it. I'm just saying we should look at the biblical pattern.
Right, it's the government that should do it. We're not saying that Christians or churches should be carrying out these sentences. We're talking about a pattern for criminal justice in America that's based on the Bible. Is that right?
God.
Exactly correct.
Yep.
Wow.
So I wanted to. When he
love,
claims he doesn't want his religion in schools, that's complete bullshit.
Well, also, I love how he said, yeah, well, pretty soon these genes would get wiped out.
Mm-hmm. He's a eugenicist.
Yeah, well, also he's an evolutionist as well, because if he thinks that getting rid of a gene is going to get rid of a trait, then he's not into free will, is he? I mean,
he's only a micro evolution eugenicist.
Can I show a picture really quickly?
Yeah,
it's entirely appropriate. I just want to show what I thought I was looking at when I was looking at Grayson's profile picture. I thought I was looking at something because most people are probably not going to know what a turbocharger is or what the compressor inlet is. This is what I thought I was looking at.
Seriously, though, that was like
that is all.
That was like completely disgusting amount of like Christian fascism right there.
Yeah, yeah, that was quite unbelievable, actually.
But I got the quote up on screen. So
what, during the debate?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant!
He wouldn't let me play the audio, but the quote was up.
Why not? Why did he say he wouldn't let you play the audio?
Donnie didn't want to get demonetized, so he knew exactly where it was going. I'm sure.
I am so glad. I am so glad that we do not live in a world where the Kent Hovinds are, like, you know, in charge. I mean, or at least Kent Hovind's not in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Never seen a non-criminal come from a criminal.
Thank God for secularism. Well, all right, guys. Is there anything else on your minds before we?
No, just of
Say
course, please remember to like the channel, like the video,
Yeah.
subscribe, and
And
Yeah,
fuck
Snake,
Hovind.
congratulations on 1,000 subscribers, man.
yeah.
Thank you. I'm teetering between 1,000 and 1,001 over the past couple of days. So,
Well, when did that happen?
like last week sometime, and I was nervous because it kept going down to 999, then up to 1,000, and back. So
Yeah,
I'm
people are
still
fucking
kind of
weird.
in unsafe territory because YouTube will just delete some of my subs sometimes. So
Yeah, they do that to me as well.
yep. Yep. Well, alrighty, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for the debate. Very
Adventures out there.
entertaining.
Yeah. I'm gonna go get some grub, and you guys take care of yourselves.
Oh, I will. I'm gonna do exactly the same.
And fuck Ken Hovind.
Hot in the butthole.
Peace in the Middle East.
All right, guys.
Let's hope he doesn't create any more.